This is GerotheHero, and this is my review of Bungo Stray Dogs episode 13 of season 2. Uh, Surprisingly, this episode was not about the guild or any kind of continuation from the last episode, where we were introduced to the guild and them confronting the detective agency. And at the end of it, we saw that the Port Mafia was still alive. Now, I'm kind of wondering if this is going to tie into maybe the guild and also how the Port Mafia are involved in that. But we get a flashback from 4 years ago. We're introduced to Oda, who's just basically a subordinate. He's just a regular thug that's doing odd jobs for the Port Mafia. And then, of course, we get introduced again to Danzai, but as the executive. It'd be interesting to see everybody's reaction in the detective agency, to see how they would react to finding out what his actual job was. Because everybody was betting on what his previous job, and everybody, of course, got it wrong. Because who would think that he's an executive of the Port Mafia? And obviously we got that we found that out in the last season, but it's interesting that now we're getting to see him as an executive in the Port Mafia. And then, of course, we're also introduced to Bungo, the bookkeeper. Apparently, they were all friends that met at a certain bar, and of course, Danzai acts exactly the same. So it's kind of funny that he's still just as quirky, he's still talking about committing suicide, and after this scene, they all talk about what's going on with their life, and it's funny that Danzai mentions that he would rather be a regular person like Oda and do regular jobs. So kind of wonder if that's his motivation for being now in the Armored Detective Agency. So after this, we switch to a scene, and Oda's being summoned by the big boss, the Port Mafia leader, and we also see the mysterious girl from the opening as well as the preview. Apparently he's dressing her. It's kind of an awkward scene, but Oda just kind of goes with it. He gets special authority even over executives, that basically they have to follow his orders in order to find out where Bungo is, because he's missing. So he also mentions that the Port Mafia leader also mentions that it's good that he has a relationship with Danzai, an executive. And he also mentions that Danzai could eventually kill him and take over someday. So we find out that Oda does not like to kill people and avoids it. And then we see another scene with Danzai trying to find out why his men are killed. And he has really good detective skills. And kind of wonder if he hides a lot of his skills that he has in the present time. And then we find out from this investigation that an organization named Mimic is behind this. And they all have the same kind of weapon. It's almost a symbolic weapon, and they explain what it is, but it kind of looks like a German Luger. And then we find out, as Oda's doing his investigation, he first goes to Bungo's apartment, and we find out that he has a power of being able to see the future 5 or 6 seconds into the future. So at first, you see a scene of him getting sniped, but it's really his power to see the future. And he manages to not get shot by the sniper, but then gets confronted by the Mimic's minions. Luckily, he had called Danzai ahead of time, and he gets saved at the last minute. Eventually, he explains to Danzai that there was a safe that he found, and he was almost killed for it. And we open it, and it has the same kind of gun that all these other Mimic guys have. So it's interesting to see that Danzai suspects that Ango is either like basically working for him or he's decided to join them. But that's how the episode ends. But even though we didn't get any kind of introductions to the guild or their background information, we got a lot of backstory on the Port Mafia and Danzai's role in that. Hopefully we'll find a connection between maybe Mimic will be basically the guild in its previous form or something, or somehow there's a connection between that and the guild. We'll have to see in the next episode. But overall, I was very interested in watching this. It was really interesting to find out how Danzai was different, but basically pretty much the same. And it was interesting to get introduced to these to Oda, and we'll see how if he has any significance in the future. But always, comment below, subscribe, like if you were interested in this episode, and follow me on Twitter, and I will see you next time.